This is Live for Love TV. Live for Love TV. Yes, I am.
One step more. One step more. One step more. Until you reach your goals. One step more. Save them soul. One step more. One step more. How good it is to reach the
Live for Love TV. This is Live for Love TV. Live for Love TV.
Okay, welcome back to Live for Love TV. Today's the Friday the 13th of the 21st year in the 21st century. Hope everyone's doing really well out there. Today, as usual, I'm going to go off script. And it's easy for me to go off script because I don't have a script. So I'm always off script. So you don't have to think I'm writing any of this stuff down. We're just coming straight at you with as much reality and truth as we can, obviously from my perspective, and you can agree or disagree as so be. Now, we're living in a time wherein bullying has become the order of the day. We hear about cyber bullies, internet bullies, social media bullies, school bullies, prison bullies, street bullies. I mean, bullies everywhere. But what people fail to understand that ever since there was major governments and major systems, the whole reason for people using the word in biblical as Persia and Babylon and maybe even going back to Kemet in Egypt, these were also seen as bullies by the everyday people. These were why people saw them as superpowers. They were able to bully people in a superpower way. But people don't really recognize that type of bullying. The reason why I'm bringing up bullying today is because all of us have had to deal with a bully at some point. Somebody's bullied you, whether in your workplace or at school, and maybe even in your house. We've all had to deal with bullies. Now we deal with bullies different ways. I've always suggested, and I'd always suggest to people that you should confront a bully in the morning. Confront them as soon as you can, as soon as you're able, confront the bully. Now, those of people who don't want to confront a bully are going to say, well, it's dangerous. Maybe you can lose your life. Maybe you can take a life. The outcome is really up to the bully. I don't consider when I'm dealing with bullies what the outcome would be. The outcome is up to the bully. They're the ones who have started the whole situation that you're in. So you cannot consider it from their perspective. You must always consider it from your own perspective. And your perspective is to stop the bullying. More often than not, when somebody's there walking down the street in an individual perspective or in your area, they'll bully you as long as you let them bully you. When you confront them, very often, not always, but very often, what happens is they go on to find somebody who is easier to bully because they're not really endowed with super internal strength, these people. They may be physically stronger than you. They may be physically more dangerous than you. They may be a weaponized person, but internally, they're normally very weak, and that's why they bully in the first place. So I always suggest confronting them in the morning, because if you don't confront them in the morning, there's only one of two things that can happen. You either have to kill them in the evening, which you don't want to have to get to, or they're going to make your life not worth living that you wish you were dead. So those are two states you should not want to live in. I know a lot of people have lived in probably the latter state that I just mentioned, where their life is almost not worth living. They've been bullied out of their own spirit, their own ability to stand up and speak. But you need to confront the bully, because now we're in a time of worldwide bullying. We can see it from the governments around the world. They're literally bullying the whole world is being bullied by governments, by, big power, whoever these people are, however they style themselves, whether they're this 3-letter word, that 3-letter word that they call themselves, whatever they call themselves, they're bullying the whole world. And you need to stand up to them. Now, even those who have been bullied in the morning need to stand up with those who are prepared to stand up to them now and come together with them and stand up to them. Because this is the case. This is always the case, that a bully and people who use these kind of powers, if they come for me in the morning, as they said in South Africa during the apartheid, they're going to come for you in the evening. And by that time, there's going to be no one to help you, because you didn't help me in the morning. They've dealt with me. So you need to stand up And you can stand up in democratic countries simply by protesting, refusing to accept the rules that they put out towards you. Now, protest is part of the democratic process. You can't have democratic situations, democratic countries without protest, because if you don't have the right to protest, then you're in tyranny. Then you're in a situation where nobody can actually have their voice heard. There will be no democracy. So protest is always part of democratic countries. The truth is, whether they listen to your protest or not is the whole issue. Whether or not you think a protest will do any good, maybe it won't, maybe it doesn't. But I say the fact that you're prepared to stand up and protest sometime is that standing up to the bully. That's what the protest will be. It may just be your ability to stand up to the bully and by protesting. But you need to protest with your brothers and sisters. You don't say, well, I agree with what the government's doing all the time, therefore I'm not going to protest. Sometimes you have to look at the whole situation and say, okay, I'm okay with this, but it's not all right for everybody. That law that they're making is not for everybody. And I need to stand with my brother and sister and say, no, we need to find a better way to bring things into fruition. We can't allow governments to just bully us into this place wherever they want to take us. Because right now that the world's being bullied into this and that and mandated to do, mandated to do this and passported to do that, that's just today. Let's just look forward and see, where would you, if you had that power as a bully, what would you do next? Wouldn't you say to yourself, you know something, since I've got this medical intervention, let me see what I can do with the people next. Let me look at the people. Let me see if I can isolate a gene in the human beings that will look to see whether somebody will be born mentally impaired or physically impaired. And then we'll say, no, these people need to take this drug or that drug or whatever so that they don't have children or that they don't, pass on that negative gene. That's where it's going next. I mean, you have to be, pretty dumb not to realize that everything has its stages, and it will literally be one thing after another. And they'll convince those of you whose genes are perfectly fine, who produce perfect children, to say, well, you've got no problem. It's not you that we're aiming this at. We're aiming at those people who are bringing on the disappeared people into the world. Sounds very much like Adolf Hitler again, doesn't it? Sounds very much like, that world order that Adolf Hitler was bringing about. We need to stand up for people often who cannot stand for themselves. No, I'm not saying that you should always go around if someone's been bullied and just stand up for that person. That person has to first stand up for themselves. I agree with that. There's no doubt about that. They have to first stand up for themselves, yeah? But you have to, if they do stand up for themselves and they are prepared to go all the way, then you should stand with them and tell the bully, not around here, go somewhere else, find something else, somebody else to bully. This is our corner, this is how we live. I don't advise you to stand up for people who don't stand up for themselves, because it doesn't strengthen them. It makes them weaker, if anything. That's why I'm today advising people to stand up to bullies, whether they're governmental bullies, individual bullies, family bullies, whoever they are, stand up to them. You need to confront them. You need to let them know that there's something seriously weak inside of them. Yeah, that you can handle them. We've seen it in those of us who've come from the roadside and street side, we know what bullies are about. We know where their strength comes from. We know how they operate. We've seen, but for those of you who are not remembering of what a bully is, you can just go back and look in boxing in the last century, in the heavyweight championship. We saw bullies. We saw bullies, and we saw people bullying people so that they were unable to even get in the ring and stand up to them. They couldn't. That's how bullies operate. They terrorize you, and when they do deal with somebody, they deal with them so brutally that everybody else around is terrified of that person. But it only takes one person to stand up to that bully, and all of a sudden the invisibility is gone. And then others stand up, and others stand up. And then what does he do? Stops fighting, fear, under Queensberry's rules, and tries to bite off a bit of your head or a bit of your ear or something. So you know what I'm talking about. But this is just, it's not to denigrate any one person. Bullies are everywhere. They've always been part of us, and there's always going to find somebody to bully. Governments will always find people to bully. Kings will always find people to bully. But you have to decide what price your life. What's the quality of your life? For those people who think that they're going to be able to go from birth all the way to death without being tested on their faith, well, I'm sorry, you're deluded. Your faith was going to be tested, and it's going to be tested. As long as you live long enough, your faith will be tested to see what it is you're prepared to stand for. And it doesn't matter. You can go to any religious organization and pray any amount of times a day. Your faith's going to be tested as to whether this is what you're prepared to live with. Because really, if you say you're a human being and you are, a spiritual person or a strong person or an individual person, they have to test your faith. They're not going to just let you go by every day. One day they're going to step on your corn. One day they're going to stand up to you. One day they're going to say to you, listen, who are you? You're walking past there every day like you think you are. And the day they stand up to you is the day you let them know exactly who you are. And I'm telling you, that will go around like wildfire when the people know who you are. But you have to do that. That's a sharpening of your own tools. That's you getting to know who you are. What I will tell you as I can tell you from experience, that when you're growing up as a young person, the bully knows who you are before you know who you are. The bully spots you very early because he has to. He's very intelligent. He recognizes that you might not be the right person to bully. So he kind of watches and looks around and sees and kind of doesn't really push it too much with you. And at that time, you have no idea who you are or what you are. But as you grow, you start to realize, as you go into different environments, that bullies always seem to walk around you and bully somebody next to you and around you and behind you. People who you know, people who you respect, people who you like. And often these people hang around you so that you will stand up to the bully on their behalf. And I'm not telling you to do that. That's not something I think is a very intelligent thing to do. People need to be empowered, self-empowered. You can't really empower another human being, not even your child. You need to teach your child how to be empowered so that when you're no longer there, no one's going to be bullying that child. So that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I'm making these points about the governments and the Babylons, the Persians, the Egyptian, all of these, Rome, all these, they're all bullies. They're all bullies. They have an thing they want to do, something they want to bring in the way they want people to live, but they can't do it without being bullied. And how do you know they're bullies? Because it always only takes one person to come up to these people and they're nervous. One single individual. Even in America in the 60s, one man here, one man there. What do? They have to take them out. Why do they take them out? Because they're weak. There's no strength behind them. It's an illusion. Their power is an illusion. The bully's always got an illusory power. He's got power so long as you're afraid of him. He's got the big right hand and the chopper and the gun, so long as you're afraid of him. But once you stop being afraid of him and you're prepared to give to him as good as he's prepared to give to you, half the time, the only part of the bully you see is his back when he's running down the street. That's how they behave. So you need to stand up to these bullies. You need to stand up to the bullies on all occasions. And you need to find that strength within yourself. I'm not telling you to be aggressive. I'm not telling you to go out there and fight and be turned into a warrior or something like that overnight. But if you're a young person and you're being, social media bullying, cyber bullying, whatever, you need to find strength in yourself and say, no, you don't bully me because I'm okay with me. It's what the bully is looking for is an insecurity in you that's the same as the insecurity in them, a similar insecurity. That's what they work off. But you have to know that you're okay. There's nothing wrong with you. The fact that you're not the strongest in your school or you're not the baddest man on the block doesn't have nothing to do with it. You don't have to be. You just have to be you, be authentic, be yourself. So long as you're not trying to pretend to be who you're not, then the bully has no power over you whatsoever. And that goes for all bullies, including government bullies and all these ancient bullies that we had before. That was the message of all the people that came before. Be yourself, be straight, be loving, be kind. Once you're that, the bully has no power over you. Certainly not over this physical body. He has no power. So we're going to be talking again as ever. This is just a little conversation on bullying. I definitely want to go back into bullying because I've got more to say about bullying, more to say about how it shows itself as well, because it does show itself in some peculiar ways. Sometimes people are being bullied and don't realize they're being bullied, believe it or not. But once you're strong within yourself, you'll feel it. When somebody says something to you, and it doesn't sound quite right, ask them to say it again. Ask them to say that thing again, what they said. If you think it don't sound right, ask them to say it again. And when you tell them to say it again, very often, they won't say it the way they said it last time. won't be so dark and so loud and so strong. It's kind of on a lower level, and it may even change a word or two, because they now know you're in confrontation mode, and you want to find out exactly what they're about. So see you soon. Take care. Live for Love TV.
People, one step more, one step more, one step more, one step more until you reach your goals. One step more.
This is Live for Love